PreLaunchProfessor.com. Hey guys, Chris McNeil back with another of our free videos in our free video series, How to Get Started in Podcasting. Today I'm answering one of the questions that we hear all the time at podcastprofessors.com from people that are starting their own podcasts. That question, how do I get found by listeners? With over 75 million monthly unique listens, it's safe to say that podcasting has arrived as a serious form of media. Podcasting may have originated in people's spare bedrooms with basic production equipment, but it's grown to the point where successful personalities like Alex Bloomberg have invested millions of dollars building their own podcasting network and platform. Now, the great news is you don't have to spend millions of dollars and you don't have to be a radio professional in order to go out there and find listeners and build strong connections with them. Today, I'm going to give you 5 tips that are going to help you grow your audience and connect with your listeners to form meaningful relationships. Now, the first tip is to always be consistent. You've got to be consistent with the sound quality of your show. You've got to be consistent with the message that you deliver each and every episode. And you've got to be consistent with the overall theme, feel, and format of your show. When a new listener comes across your show and falls in love with it, they're going to want to come back for more. And you need to deliver it on the same day at the same time because you are making a commitment to them. So consistency is critical. Now, the next step is to always be your best. A lot of podcasters say, well, Chris, that's obvious, but most of them forget this along the way and it gets lost in the shuffle of creating a show, producing a show, marketing a show, and maybe even turning that show into a business. You always have to be your best. You should never publish a subpar episode. I feature interview guests each and every week on my podcast, and I've had to cancel interviews, I've had to reschedule interviews, and I've even had to coach guests through positioning their laptop and setting up their audio to get the best possible sound because I want to do that for my listeners. My listeners only have my audio, and I want to make sure it's the best quality possible. The next tip is one that I used to launch my show very successfully, and that is to build a pre-launch team. I put together a dozen friends and family and provided them with every bit of material they needed to promote my show on their own social networks through their own platforms. This helped me because it was a long lever and it amplified my ability to promote my show and connect with new listeners. The next thing that you need to do is be sure you are always promoting your show where your avatar is. If you're a business show, LinkedIn is an obvious choice, but it's important not to neglect Twitter or Facebook or Pinterest. 80% of what you want to share on your social channels should be things that your avatar finds fun or interesting that are not related to your show. Only 20% of what you do really needs to be a promotion for your show. That's how you're going to find new listeners. That's how you're going to find that avatar out there in the world and convert them to subscribers. Now, the 5th and final tip, this one's my favorite, is to get somebody else to do the promotion for you. And I'm not saying you need to spend money to do this. I've yet to spend a dime promoting my show. But what I do, because I feature interview guests, I equip them with everything they need the day their interview goes live to promote it on their own social networks. People love being featured in an interview, and they're going to love sharing that interview with their social networks. So get them to do some of the work for you. Thanks for stopping by. Be sure you remember these 5 tips: that consistency is key, that you always have to be the best, that you need to have a pre-launch team, that you should always promote where your avatar is going to be found, and that you need to get someone else to help promote that show for you. You'll be well on your way to successfully launching your podcast and finding new listeners and converting them to subscribers each and every day.
With all of these excellent Podcast Professor wisdoms, I just can't wait to see what you do with your podcast. And be sure to stay connected and subscribe to our Podcast Professor's YouTube channel right away. Write your story. Podcast yourself.
PodcastProfessor.com